It is a beautiful Saturday night to go ahead and look at some fantasy teams, answer some fantasy football questions. We'll do it all, but first let's get to the news of the day. Now, the big thing that we are wanting to track is going to be the availability of Josh Jacobs as well as Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow was at practice in full pretty much all week. It does sound like Burrow's not playing tomorrow, but Burrow will be playing on Thanksgiving. At least those are the expectations as I am speaking on Saturday, November 22nd at 7:12 p.m. Central. Josh Jacobs is considered a game time decision. Went through and looked at the official report from Adam Schefter, have looked at all the quotes from Josh Jacobs. I have Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson on my own fantasy team. And honestly, what I'm hoping for is I am hoping that Jacobs doesn't play, so Emmanuel Wilson has everything here. Because what I'm a little bit concerned with is if Jacobs is good to go, and then all of a sudden he splits the backfield with Emmanuel Wilson, and neither running back is that exciting. Now, how I'm playing this as somebody with both running backs is if Jacobs starts, he is a must-start running back. If Jacobs misses, Emmanuel Wilson is a must-start running back. So it is super clear-cut on what you would want to do, but for me, I would be a little bit concerned that I think you have to lower expectations with Josh Jacobs, even if he is good to go. Brandon Cooks waived by the Saints. Doesn't matter. Torrey Horton placed on the IR. Doesn't really matter. Is Xavier Restrepo going to be good to go for week 12? Doesn't really matter. The Bucs expect a quote-unquote heavy dose of Sean Tucker in week 12. Let me see if Underdog has changed their projections with this. Last I had seen, like Rachaad White and Sean Tucker projected out to have about the same amount of work. Chris Godwin expected to play week 12. This just means that Kate Otten you cannot start. This just means that Tez Johnson you can't start. You still starting Buka. And honestly, I wouldn't be rolling with Godwin until we actually see him produce. Now, I drafted a lot of Chris Godwin Underdog Best Ball drafts, so you better believe I am hoping that Godwin comes through for us in a big time way. Yeah, but looking at it on Underdog right now, the projections with the Tampa running backs haven't changed. So I don't know if this report means anything. Maybe Underdog just has this way wrong. But they currently have it on their site right now. Lower than 8.45 fantasy points. Or I'm sorry, higher, lower. I'm going with the lower. 8.5 points for Rachaad White. Higher than 8.25 points with Sean Tucker. But if you are looking at those projections, kind of tells you that you should maybe go ahead and look to avoid, at least for me, avoid saying that Sean Tucker is a must-start player. Now, I mean, we can go through and we can actually put our money where our mouth is if we want to. Let me just see if there's a third Underdog pick that I like doing, because if you're going to submit an Underdog pick, it has to be with multiple players. Let me see the projections you have with the Patriots, guys. Ramadre projects higher, lower 9.45 fantasy points. Trevion Henderson's higher, lower 12.15. We can take Ramadre to not score a touchdown. Let's do that. Let's go Rachaad White for fewer than 8.5 fantasy points. Sean Tucker higher than 8.25. And then Ramadre to not score a touchdown. That would be a 9.25x if we hit all three of these. So that'd be $50 to win 462. But I'm going to be honest with y'all, I'm absolute garbage with the Underdog pick'ems. I literally miss every single one of these I ever do. So I'm going to flex it. That way, if I get two of them right, I still win like $56. And obviously, if I get all three right, then I win like 220. But at least I'll get something back if we miss on one of them. So let's do that again, because I'm garbage with that. We are going to flex it rather than just go with it straight up. Now, yeah. But I think that's all we got. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. And Yeah. Thanks for being here. But Big Co-op says, my entire league has the same record. It's super competitive. Looking to see if I should sell Lamb and London for Pittman and Rome just to have 2 quality starters. What the hell are you talking? No, do not do that. If not, what moves should I make to put me in a position for the playoffs and best chance to win it all? So here's the thing. London's coming through and saying that he's possibly playing week 13. Let me go through and look at the team. How desperate are you for points right now? Like, I know London's missing this week. Ladd's on bye, but your starting lineup this week is still Jalen Hurts, James Cook, Kyron Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Alec Pierce, Loveland. I guess your flex this week sucks. I would cut Mac Hollins now that you have Kayshon Boutte back in for the New England Patriots. I would cut Mariota. Don't see any upside with Mariota whatsoever. I know your waiver wire is a little bit bare, but honestly, I would pick up Bam Knight. I honestly think that you would probably start Bam Knight this week in your flex over like Tez Johnson. So cut Mac Hollins, pick up Bam Knight so you can play Bam Knight this week. Cut Mariota, pick up like Xavier Legette or Chimera DK. You're a 6-5 team. You score the 3rd most points in this league. You have a damn good squad. We have the solid quarterback with Jalen Hurts. We have 2 top-end running backs with James Cook, Kyron Williams. So we have 2 running back ones, a solid QB 1, a solid wide receiver 1 with Lamb, London wide receiver 2, Ladd for the flex in the long term is phenomenal. Then we have Loveland and Jawan Johnson as 2 startable tight ends with upside through the rest of the season. I would hate it if you sold like Lamb and London for Pittman and Rome. Like, let me see. What's this? How many teams have a better record than us? We are currently 5th in the league standings record-wise. And again, we've scored the 3rd most points in this league. So we're going to have the points tiebreaker over most people. So it's not like you're absolutely desperate for a win this week. Even if you lose, you fall to 6-6. You'll have the points tie break over most of those borderline playoff teams. It's not a guarantee that you lose, even if you have London injured this week and Ladd. Like, Alec Pierce is a solid play at wide receiver 2 this week. Bam Knight is a okay flex. Not going to say he's a great flex, but if you get London and Ladd back next week, then honestly, who cares if like you have to play Bam Knight in the flex this week? I think you have a good team. I think it's a well-balanced team. I really wouldn't want you to go out there and make any trades with this. Like, you don't need anything. If you were 4-7 and it was win or go home, then yeah, let's sell London for pennies. Let's even sell Ladd, who's on bye, for pennies, but you're 6-5. You scored a lot of points. So I would just keep it stupid simple. I would cut Mariota. I'd cut Mac Hollins. I'd pick up like Chimera DK, pick up Bam Knight, throw Bam Knight in the flex this week. Wait until Ladd McConkey gets through his bye. Maybe London comes back a week from now. And then there isn't anything else that I would do with this team. I think you have a good squad. But let me go ahead and send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up with. I know the London injury sucks. I know the Michael Penix injury sucks. But like you'd be like, I don't know if I'd sell Lamb for Michael Pittman and Rome Odunze. So you'd just be giving away London for legitimately free there. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you. I really appreciate you and I hope I was able to help out in some way. Now let's move this over to Junebug says, hey Mason, I've been watching for a couple of years, trying to go back to back. We traded Judkins, Diggs, and Tet for Chase. Ooh, that is beautiful. Let's go ahead and let's pull up this. Okay, my guy, you are taking down your league mates here easily. Early in the season, how the hell did you do this? Early in the year, you traded Jordan Love, Jake Ferguson, Brian Thomas, Travis Etienne for Amari Hampton and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and that was before the Amari Hampton injury. You are just straight up working your league mates at this point. It's a 12-team start 8 format, so the depth matters. So I understand if a team made that Jamar Chase deal. Like, I get it. If they needed starters right now, understandable. Now, you have an elite quarterback with Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes so far this season's currently sitting here averaging about 22 points per game. He's the QB3 in points per game. So we're A-okay with Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Trey McBride's the tight end 1. It's not even remotely close. Absolutely love having McBride. Going through and looking at running back, we have James Cook, RB1, Amari and Hampton, a solid RB2 in the long term, possibly as early as next week. We have Kenneth Walker as a solid flex. We have Sean Tucker as a short-term play that we can look at right now. I would say it's not a guarantee that we are going to get like Amari and Hampton in back after the bye. So what I would look to do is, honestly, I would cut Adonai Mitchell and I would pick up Kamani Vidal, or I'd pick up Blake Corum. Like, Kamani Vidal more likely is a starting running back. In week 13, but Blake Corum would have a higher ceiling. Like, if Kyron were to go down, Blake Corum could be a league winner. But there's no world in which Adonai Mitchell makes a difference for you whatsoever. So I would cut Adonai Mitchell. I'd pick up Kamani Vidal. Then in the long term here with this team, you have JSN wide receiver 1, Jamar Chase wide receiver 2. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like, you have a better wide receiver 1 than anybody else in this league. A better wide receiver 2 than anybody else in this league. The player in your first flex spot is better than anybody else's in this league. Better tight end than anybody else in this league. Better quarterback than anybody but essentially 2. Your team is absolutely loaded. You don't have a ton of depth for this being a 12-team start 8 format. So, like, I don't necessarily know if there's like another trade for you to go out there and make after you sold all that depth to go and get Jamar. Like, you're 9-2, so it makes a ridiculous amount of sense for you to go ahead and make that kind of trade. Like, you've scored over 100 more points than the next best team in your league. So I love the trade that you made to go and get Jamar Chase, but after that deal, you're just going to coast it in. I would drop Adonai Mitchell again. There's no world in which you ever start him. Pick up Kamani Vidal just in case Amari Hampton isn't back after the bye. And yeah, I think that's it, but I really appreciate you, and really hope I was able to help you out in some way. Now, let me move this over to our next team. It's going to be from Adam. Says 7-4, 1 game ahead in division. If I win this week, I am set up to go to the playoffs. Trade deadlines passed. Any advice for waiver wire pickups if Warren can't go? Warren is fully good to go, my friend. Or just any advice to help us win the league. Okay. So we are actually near the bottom of the league when it comes to the power rankings on the site. However, you've scored the 3rd most points. I wonder why the power rankings don't love your team. It's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format. So here in this kind of league, the depth is honestly just absolutely meaningless at wide receiver. Like, you can only start 3 wide receivers at the very most. So having, like, if you could make a trade, like, it would be nice to be able to go through and, I don't know. trade Sutton, trade Wandale, trade one of these depth wide receivers, get an upgrade at running back, but you're saying your deadline's passed, so that ship has sailed. So if there are no trades to be made, in general, I would say, like, I would prefer maybe rostering a few more running backs here as opposed to the receivers, but we go ahead and we look at the best options that you have on the waiver wire at running back. You have like Blake Corum is the best option on the waiver wire in my mind. There's no way I can tell you to drop Alec Pierce, Khalil Shakir for Blake Corum. So if the deadline's passed, there's nothing for you to do. The biggest struggle you are going to have with this team, for sure, is what's it going to look like from a week-to-week perspective in how you decide your flex. You're going to start Jefferson. You're going to start Nico every week. Don't overthink that. But then for your flex spot, like choosing between Wandale, Sutton, Khalil Shakir, Alec Pierce every week is almost going to be impossible. Which again is why, I mean, I would have preferred us going through and selling one of those wide receiver depth pieces, maybe and affording to go get a better running back. But if it's too late, it's too late. And then, yeah, I don't think there's anybody on the waiver wire that I'd pick up over who you have on your roster right now. I think the bottom end of your bench is a little bit too good for you to have anybody to cut. I think Blake Corum would be an interesting pickup. But again, the issue is you're not going to have anybody that you could cut for Blake Corum. But I really appreciate you. And I'm wishing you the best of luck here, my friend. It's just going to be tough for you to determine who you want in your starting lineup at wide or in the flex every week. Now, Heaven says 4-7, but I feel like I can make the playoffs still, as most people in my league are 500 or worse, and it's an 8-team playoff. Oh, okay. It's a 10-team league where 8 teams make the playoffs. So we are CT ESPN. We are currently the 8th team in the standing. So we are currently in the playoffs. We've scored the 5th most points in this league. So you're going to have the points tiebreak over all those borderline playoff teams. Okay. Now, what moves can I make? Got offered Lamar for Chase Brown. Thanks again for everything you do. Thank you, my guy. It's a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So the depth's not going to matter much. So yes, you should go and trade for Lamar. 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Quarterback's going to make up a very high percentage of your starting lineup output weekly. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson hasn't been great as of late, but I would still stand by the fact that I do believe Lamar Jackson's going to be an elite level quarterback here in the long term. And we go ahead and we look at what you have at running back. You currently are sitting with Saquon Barkley, Trevion Henderson, Chase Brown, Quinshon Judkins. So don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, like Chase Brown's in your starting lineup here. Chase Brown's a very good player. But is it that bad if you were to have to start Quinshon Judkins? Is it that bad if you have to start Trevion Henderson? No, not at all. So, yeah, I mean, I would make that move very easily. Going through and looking at the following moves that you'd make on the waiver wire. Like Tyler Algier is somebody that if you were to get an injury to Bijan, you jam him in your lineup. Like he would turn into a must start. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Oh. I'm dying here. I'm like a piece of spit going the wrong pipe. Oh, that's horrible. You're going to see me cry right now. But anyway, if Bijan were to go down, Tyler Algier, they probably can throw him in the flex over Quinshon Judkins. So, like, if you traded Chase Brown for Lamar, you cut Jordan Love, you pick up Tyler Algier. Best waiver wire wide receiver would be Jacoby Myers. Not going to tell you need to pick up Myers. But yeah, we know you wouldn't be able to sell Jordan Love for anything. So it'd just be a very easy cut. But then after that, you could potentially consider selling like Jackson Dart. You could potentially consider selling Jaden Daniels. Like, those are very real players that people could give you value for. Now with Daniels, I'd assume that we actually have to get him back before you're going to be able to get anything for him. So who knows when and if that will happen. Trade deadline will already be passed. But I would immediately try to flip Jackson Dart and Stephon Diggs and go ahead and get a wide receiver upgrade. And say that Lamar team changes their mind, say that deal is no longer offered for us. Then at that point, what I would look to do is I would still try to sell one of the depth running backs. I would still sell Quinshon Judkins. I mean, you have 4 startable running backs on this team. Like, let's get some value out of them. We can go through and we can look at the teams in your league that are the worst at running back. This team has Sean Tucker and Kenneth Gainwell in their starting lineup this week. I would offer them Quinshon Judkins and George Kittle for Trey McBride. Assuming you don't make the Lamar deal. Assuming you don't make the Lamar deal, this team's starting David Montgomery and like Kyle Monangai, David Montgomery and Kareem Hunt this week. They're also 4-7. They need points right now. We're currently in the playoffs right now. I would offer them Chase Brown and Stephon Diggs for Jamar Chase. See what they say. This team this week starting Derrick Henry and Devin Singletary. I would offer them Saquon Barkley and Stephon Diggs for Puka Nacua and see what they say. So I agree. I think you want to be selling a depth running back. It just comes down to what you sell that depth running back for. That Lamar deal seems completely fair to me. And if that's going to be the best you get, that's the best you get. But I would, if you don't get that trade, I would go for one of the other ones that we discussed here. But I really appreciate you and hope I was able to help you out in some way here, my guy. Now let's move this over to King Breeze. Says, yo, been following you for 4 years now. Appreciate all the content and information. Also, all the trolls and gaslighting you do to keep the Flock League competitive. Appreciate you, my guy. I'm 5-6 and made a boneheaded decision by trading Chase for Rice and Hampton. Also, Achane for Hampton and Wilson. Am I cooked? Okay. You traded Chase for Rice and Hampton and also Achane for Hampton and Wilson. There's no way you did. You traded for Hampton twice? Oh, you're cooked, my guy. You're dead last in the league analyzer. Let's see what the exact trades were. No, we traded Chase for Rashee Rice and Jaden Daniels. And we traded Devon Achane for Garrett Wilson and Amari Hampton. You're cooked, my friend. Cooked like a Thanksgiving turkey. Let's see where we're at in terms of making the playoffs. We are currently 5-6. We've scored the 7th most points in this league. We are about 7th in the league standings. I'm going to assume that 6 teams make the playoffs here. Let me go ahead and send you over some free questions. First thing that I will say is it's crazy that we are rostering this many quarterbacks. Like, I don't know the situation with IR slots on your team. I don't know how many players are actually on our roster. But we have Burrow, Dart, Daniels, and Jacoby Brissett. So, I mean, I understand why we are doing this. Burrow's out this week. Dart's out this week. Daniels is out for God knows how long. I'll say if all of these players are actually on your roster, like on your bench and not in IR slots, you got to pick your battles. You can't roster all these guys. I would say more likely than not, we're going to get Burrow as well as Dart back this next week. So in that case, maybe you want to cut Daniels. Because we go to the other positions on your waiver wire, there are decent pickups. Trey Benson is probably a starting running back next week. And we're going to be fighting for our life in the playoffs, and we don't know what our running back situation is going to be, as we have Bucky and we have Amari and Hampton. We don't know what our flex is going to be. We have Garrett Wilson as well. So I would cut one of the quarterbacks, whether that you want that to be Dart or Daniels. Obviously, we need Jacoby Brissett that we can start this week. And I would go ahead and I would pick up Trey Benson, who could potentially come back in week 13. Going over and looking at the receivers. If Garrett Wilson's on your IR, then cool, ignore me here. But it's a very real world in which I would go ahead and I would cut Garrett Wilson and just opt to pick up Troy Franklin or Ricky Pearsall now. And then at tight end, we have the combination of Dalton Kincaid and Jawan Johnson. So tight end's kind of a debacle. I would cut Kincaid. I don't see a reason for you to have him on a team like this. We don't know when he comes back. And even when he was playing, he's averaging 41% of the snaps this season. I would pick up Loveland. I would pick up Theo Johnson instead. And then trade-wise, like if you were worried about losing this week and you were potentially concerned about getting eliminated from the playoffs, I wouldn't mind if you wanted to go through and try to toss somebody, one of the injured running backs, whether that's Amari and Hampton or whether that's Bucky Irving, for you to be able to get some guaranteed production in right now. But I think the main thing that I'd be looking to do with your team is the waiver wire pivots. I think that would be super important. Is there anything else to discuss? I don't necessarily think so. You've just been brutalized with injuries. Having Bucky and Amari and Hampton on the same team just puts you in such a tough spot. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this, my guy. And let me go ahead. And actually, we already sent you over those free questions. So if there's anything that you want to follow up with, I'd be super happy to take a look at it for you. Okay. Now, we got C Mac and Cheese making an insane dono here. And King Breeze says, appreciate it, Mason. A little more info on the two trades was before the Wilson and JD injuries. Yeah, I saw that with the little, I don't know if you saw, my guy, we can actually pull up trades now on the right-hand side and see the date of the trades and everything. But I appreciate you, and let me know if you have any additional questions in the chat. But C-Mac and Cheese, always out here. Let me send you over another free team review, my guy. Let me send you a bunch of stuff. I appreciate you. And let me know if you were able to get a hat as well, or hopefully I sent you multiple hats. But if not, please shoot me an email, masondodd@flockfantasy.com, from your YouTube account saying, hey, this is C-Mac and Cheese, blah, blah, blah. Here's my email on flockfantasy.com. I haven't received my hats. Are they on the way? Can I get some? Just to remind me that I said this in a live stream, And give me your email address on flockfantasy.com. That way I can get that going for you. Or check to make sure you have your hats. And also let me know in the chat if y'all have gotten your hats. I see Half Rice saying that he got his hat today. Okay. What are your thoughts on the most optimal lineup for me? Like my chances. I did end up starting Shakir. LOL PS Screw AV. Jamar's a bum anyway. Hashtag Team of Destiny. You know what I'm going to do on this one? Okay. Let me send this screenshot in the chat. Let them know you said this. Let me know. Let them know you said it. Okay. Sorry, just had to send that to Avery. All right, let's see this. C Mac and Cheese. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Let me also look at the waiver wire pivots if there's. So I know we have Cade Otton, right? In my mind, I think we should be less excited about having Cade Otton now that Chris Godwin is back. I think that the target volume all of a sudden is going to be coming down now that there's another capable receiver. And it does make it where I'm more likely to get excited about Loveland, Theo Johnson, especially here in the long run. I would consider having both of those players. It's a 1 quarterback format. We are rostering Caleb, Jaden Daniels, Bryce Young, Dart. Caleb going up against Pittsburgh. Flacco going up against New England with no Jamar. I know we're just supposed to be looking at week 12, but also just let me tell you what I do with my team. You don't have to do it, obviously, if you don't want to. But anyway. Okay, perfect. We got C Mac and Cheese. Happy to see you, my guy. But I'm going to just tell you everything I would do with this. In terms of starting lineup right now, if you already started Shakir, obviously great call. But you'd put Pittman, Wan'Dale at wide receiver, CMC, JT in at running back, Caleb in at quarterback. And then if you wanted to start Cade Otton this week, not going to fault you for it. Like, I don't necessarily think that we should expect that we get some massive, like, roll the first week back for Chris Godwin. I'm more so concerned about what we have with Godwin here in the long run, right? Okay. Now, that's the starting lineup. In terms of the moves that we would make, Tyrell Shavers, not interested, easy cut. There are a bunch of players I would easily cut on this team. I'm never starting Bryce Young on this team. I'm never starting Joe Flacco on this team. I'm never starting Tyrell Shavers on this team. I'm never really starting Jalen Coker either. I know Coker had some okay performances at the end of last year, but in reality, like, he's never averaged 10 points per game. And at the very best, he's the wide receiver 2 for like a very good quarterback. I'm sorry, a very bad quarterback with Bryce Young. I know he had a good week this past week, but that's not something we can consistently rely upon. So sorry. I would cut Shavers. I would cut Young. I would cut Flacco. That would open up 3 roster spots. I would pick up Loveland, Theo Johnson. See what happens this week. And honestly, I may start Theo Johnson here. Let me see what the updated projections are on Underdog. Because Theo, you get Jameis now. Theo Johnson's higher lower, 36.5 total yards, 8.05 fantasy points. Yeah, Theo Johnson does project now for more fantasy points than Cade Otton. Cade Otton's 7.85. And then Loveland's going to project poorly. But I would be more so wanting to roster Loveland for the long-term upside, yeah. Like I said, that like if you wanted to start Cade Otton this week, I wouldn't fault you for it. We've just seen such a large sample through his NFL career where he has one of the most cap ceilings you're ever going to find. Like his best season of his entire NFL career, he averaged 1.41 yards per route run. And again, now you have additional competition coming in with Godwin. So like this week, he could play well because we're not expecting much from Godwin. But I think you just have like a similar projection this week with Theo Johnson. Technically on Underdog, he projects out a little bit better, but honestly, I'm not stressing that too much. More so, I just think that they project out very similarly. One of these players, we can be pretty confident he's bad based off what we've seen through his entire NFL career. And one of these players is a mystery. So I'd kind of rather go with the mystery upside rather than the player that we know is bad. So I would cut Young, cut Flacco, cut Tyrell Shavers, pick up Loveland, pick up Theo Johnson. And then I'm assuming Jaden Higgins is on your waiver wire right now, so you're not going to be able to pick him up. But you can pick up Luther Burden. I'd pick up Luther Burden. And then in terms of your starting lineup, if you already played Shakir, I guess the main conversation would be, do you play Pittman, Wandale, or Sean Tucker? I would play both of the wide receivers over Sean Tucker. Is there anything? Let me know if you have any other questions, my guy. Like I said, I sent you over another free team review and a couple free start, sit, and trade questions as well. But yeah, that main thing is I would start the receivers, especially if you already started Shakir. I probably would have told you to bench Shakir, but obviously he made a great play starting him. So I would just cut Young, cut Flacco, cut Shavers, pick up Loveland, Theo, Burden, and then cut one of the tight ends after we see what the three do this week. But, okay. I'm going to move on. If I see any more questions from you in the live chat, I will get back to it, my guy. But appreciate you. Now, let's move this to tight ends for Dicker. This is currently in 7th and the final playoff spot. It is a double flex, super flex, start 3 wide receiver format. So this is essentially a dynasty league settings wise that's in terms of starting lineup requirements in a redraft league. What moves do you think I should make to stay in the playoff race and make some noise? Thanks for all the help this season. Appreciate it, my bro. Appreciate you, my guy. Very, very different setup in a league like this. Depth is going to be incredibly important. Super flex format where we have Mahomes, Daniels for the long run. We have Bryce Young that we can play right now. So quarterback, Mahomes, your QB1, Bryce Young, your QB2. We are A-okay at quarterback, not stressing about it, especially if there's that off chance that you do eventually get Jaden Daniels back in here. Running back, we have Warren, Kenneth Walker, Tyrone Tracy, Tony Pollard. This is a league where, honestly, Tony Pollard may be somebody that you would eventually look to start. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Nico, Rome, Addison. So we have 4 startable receivers. And then we have the elite tight end with Bowers. So let me just count this out. Start 10 format. We have the 2 quarterbacks. We have the tight end. So we need 7 combined running backs and receivers. Lamb through Addison is 4. Warren through Tracy is 3. If this was a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I would be super interested in you going through and trying to trade away Jordan Addison and Kenneth Walker to go get an upgrade at running back. But instead, with this being a league in which you have to start 10 players weekly, I wouldn't want you to go through and I wouldn't want you to sell that depth to get an upgrade in the lineup, as then it would put you in a very compromising position. Looking at the waiver wire options, there aren't many out there. Dermicado with the ankle injury, and at the same time, with Trey Benson coming back in, I would probably cut him in favor of Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden obviously dealing with his own injuries in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. You're never putting him in your lineup. But here in a deeper format like this, maybe you could. If you don't want Matthew Golden, pick up Xavier Legette. And again, these are wide receivers that in a regular fantasy league I'm not too interested in. But if it's a start 3 wide receiver double flex, all of a sudden they actually do look like they could give you something. Let me see if there's anything else. I would approach some of the teams with winning records and see if any of them believe that Jaden Daniels will be back for the fantasy playoffs, and see if you can pivot from Jaden Daniels to a quarterback that's going to be back sooner, maybe with a lower ceiling. If you could sell Daniels and get back Jackson Dart, it's a no-brainer. If you can sell Jaden Daniels as well as Bryce Young and get back Baker Mayfield, it's a no-brainer. This team, I have no idea how the hell their record's so good when they have no quarterback production. This team's 7-4. If you could try to send them Bryce Young and Jaden Daniels for Matthew Stafford. This team, if you could try to send them Bryce Young and Jaden Daniels for Dak Prescott. If there was a trade to be made with this team, it'd be trying to sell somebody on the long-term upside of Jaden Daniels. And in return, what we'd be asking for is just a quarterback that we know that we can start here in the short term. As obviously we need to be focused in on short-term upside. But I really appreciate you and really hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this. Now, I think we are through the team reviews, so we should be able to rip through some of these start-sit questions and these trade questions. Let me go ahead and turn those filters on real quick. Let me move this over to the other end. Now, Saturn here at wide receiver between Yoshi Vosh as well as Xavier Worthy. I would still go Worthy. I understand the ask, though. And then a running back, you play DeAndre. At the flex, you play Swift. It's not close. You wouldn't consider the wide receivers. Okay. Now, Skate 8 here for the flex. This is tough. If Josh Jacobs does not play, it is Emmanuel Wilson easily. Now, if Josh Jacobs does play, then in that case, I'd go Stephon Diggs in a full PPR format. Now, Jay Fish says, worried about the Jacobs injury, who would you drop? Chase Brown to Jacobs. If you are a playoff teams, that's a win. Algier to Charbonnet and Alec Pierce, that's a win. You'd probably drop... You have to have Hunter Henry to start this week. You drop one of the handcuff running backs, probably like Jordan Mason. If you are a playoff team, you make this move for the Jacobs side. But obviously, if you need a win right now, it'd be tough for me to say, yeah, let's go through and let's trade for an injured running back. Tough to trade for an injured player if you're currently needing the win. Okay. Let me log out and log back in. Okay. So yeah, Jacob's side, assuming you're a playoff team. Now, Phil says, down bad at running back and got offered this. I would have Spears and Etienne in the starting lineup this week. What do you think? So you are taking Tajee Spears out of your lineup to effectively, and you have so many, you have Rice, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico, Jamo, Debo Samuel. You have to make this deal. Technically, maybe I have George Pickens ahead of Chase Brown in my rest of season rankings, but it doesn't matter. If you were taking out Tajee Spears and then you're putting in like a player like Nico Collins in your flex, yeah, you go ahead and you make that deal easily. Now, Fantasy JP here for the flex. It's Kenneth Walker or Charbonnet. Essentially, you play Kenneth Walker pretty easily. Bear down wide receiver. I would go Worthy over Yoshi Vosh. And I would probably end up. I would play Gainwell over Yoshi Vosh, to be honest. Even if Jalen Warren's fully good to go, which it seems like he is. Now, the Oracle trading Judkins and Amon-Ra St. Brown for Jamar Chase. Leftover at running back, you'd have Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Emmanuel Wilson, Woody Marks. I'm not going to mark the Jamar side as a winner because I do think it puts you in a compromising position at running back. And I think you're giving up a decent amount of value. Now, I'm not going to be opposed if you were to make this move. Don't get me wrong. It's an okay trade if you make it. But you're paying a pretty penny. You're not getting a discount on Chase here. But not Oliver. Says, did an expansion draft to join a dynasty and in first. Hell yes. Love to hear that, my guy. Now, let's move this over to the Oracle. Here at quarterback, Burrow's not playing. You got to play Brissett. Running back, you'd go with whoever starts in Green Bay, whether that's Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson. And then in the flex, I would go with Quinshon Judkins. Happy BR format, I would play Aaron Jones over Michael Wilson. I know a lot of people would disagree and put Michael Wilson in there, though. Okay. Now, Jack and Barack trading away Benson, Drake London, Ricky Pearsall for Saquon Barkley. Yes, especially with London and Benson still injured. This is an absolute no-brainer move if you can make it. Ryan, quarterback, go Caleb over Brissett. Running back, Jacobs, if he plays, as well as I'd go Bam Knight here, to be honest. Tight ends, Theo Johnson, and then in the flex, Alec Pierce for sure. Tom says, need help with my 2 wide receivers this week. Appreciate the help. Right now we have Michael Wilson and Devonta Smith in. The alternatives are Wan'Dale, Darnell Mooney, Xavier Worthy. London's out. Shakir's already played. Definitely not playing Worthy. Definitely not playing Mooney. If there's a pivot to be made, it's taking Michael Wilson out and putting Wan'Dale Robinson in. I think it's very marginal either way. For me, if it was my own team, I would probably play Wan'Dale Robinson, but also I'm an idiot and I get things wrong all the time. My own team included. D-Tub says, thanks for that, Mason. Appreciate you, my guy. And yeah, just sent out. I know we got some people in Canada that have been waiting for hats, and I've been waiting to send the Canadian hats out for a while just because they're a pain in the butt. And also it's super expensive. But today I spent my time boxing up and shipping a bunch of the Canadians, the free hats. So if you're in Canada, there's nobody that's in Canada that's gotten a hat yet. But hopefully if you're in Canada and you filled out the free hat giveaway for them, you got a couple on the way for you. Now, Miha Pana is trading away Algier and Tetero and McMillan for May and Flowers. I have Tetero, McMillan, and May ranked similarly rest of season. I have Flowers well ahead of Algier. Quarterback, you could use an upgrade. I think this is a very fair deal to go out there and get Drake May. Obviously, if you think May is going to significantly regress, you would not make the move. But it's very much a fair trade if you wanted to do this. Okay. And now, Twism, here at running back between Henderson, Etienne, Judkins. It's Henderson, even with Ramondre playing. And then in the flex, I would go with Travis Etienne, assuming that he is healthy and we don't have to be worried about his availability this week, which right now I don't think we are. So I would go Etienne. Wise Guy says, offered this. Should I chill? Help me win my championship. Puka to Gibbs, downgrade. Barkley to Nico, downgrade. I would chill. I still think Puka is the best player in that deal. Hakuna Kamara, tight ends, you didn't give us an option. In the flexes, I would play Trevion Henderson and Rome Odunze. I do like David Montgomery, though, this week. I think Montgomery's going to be much better this week than he has been in the past. And Nico says, suggestions, Bam, Gainwell, Godwin, and Yoshi Vosh on the waiver wire. Yeah, I would put Bam in the lineup. Because we have no HN, no Hampton, no London. I would probably pick up Godwin if he's free. You don't have anybody to cut, though. I would leave this as is, but after we go through the week, I would cut Bam Knight and pick up Chris Godwin. But you definitely want to have Bam Knight in there right now, specifically. Now, Saints fan in a van, trading Dowdle for Lamb. I have Lamb ranked one spot higher rest of season. Wide receiver, we have A.G. Brown, Stephon Diggs as our top options. You're better at running back than you are a receiver, so I think you can make this move. Is it the best trade ever? No, I think that they are very, very similar. Like I said, I have them back-to-back in my rankings. But you're a lot better at running back than you are wide receiver. So if you just wanted to make that pivot, I'm not going to fault you for it. Now, John says, got offered this. Need a solid running back too with Achane, Knight, Neal, Benson. Etienne banged up. Tootin's looking to take snaps. Is this worth giving Patrick Mahomes up? We have Josh Allen. So I want to be on the record here. You are 100% losing this deal. I traded away Travis Etienne on my own team for the same reasons. I was a little bit worried coming out of the bye week that Byshell Tootin would take a larger role, blah, blah, blah. So I traded away Travis Etienne on my own team. Now, with that being said, though, Etienne to Chase Brown is an upgrade. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think it's like a massive, massive upgrade. Where I know for a fact Patrick Mahomes to Xavier Worthy is a massive downgrade. So the value is on the Mahomes and Etienne side. Now, with that being said, though, if you wanted to make this deal, I'm not going to fault you for it, given the fact that you have Josh Allen. So if you have Josh Allen, you can afford to, and you're allowed to, make a trade where you lose in value. So yeah, I would go ahead. I would try to get a better running back than Chase Brown. But again, if this is the best you're going to get, this is the best you're going to get, and I wouldn't fault you for it. Okay. Now, Avery, and let me send you over another free trade question just in case you have another one that you want us to take a look at. Avery, here for the flex, you have Sean Tucker in right now. Your other option would be Ricky Pearsall. No, I think you can leave that as is. Gil, we have Judkins and Ladd McConkey, trading him for Derrick Henry. I'd say for a lot of teams in a lot of leagues, I want the Judkins and the Ladd McConkey side of this. However, you're in an 8-team league. So if you're in an 8-team format, you 100% can go ahead and get Derrick Henry here. Cake, running back, you play Dowdle, you play Henderson, and then in the flex, you play Genty, and then you bench A.J. Brown, Judkins. Now, Weavtee is trading Rice and Kittle for Jonathan Taylor and Loveland, but Taylor has no value. Yeah, I'd make this. I'm sorry, Loveland has no value. I'd make this deal, especially if you have Goddard. Like, Rice has been great this season. Rashee Rice is the wide receiver 5 in points per game. He's averaging 19.27. Jonathan Taylor is averaging over 27. Jonathan Taylor is averaging like 7 points per game more. 8 points per game more than Rashee Rice. There are levels to this, and nobody is on Jonathan Taylor's level. So yeah, 99.99% of the time, if you ever get the ability to trade for Jonathan Taylor, you want to. Now, the legend of Mr. D. Here, our best name on the bench at the moment is... They're all about the same. Myers is interesting now that Brian Thomas is out. He has a good matchup. The best name on the bench would be Emmanuel Wilson if Josh Jacobs doesn't play. If Jacobs plays, the best option on the bench instead is probably Sean Tucker. But I'd be fine if you left this lineup as is. Actually, no. I mean, AJ. I'd be fine if you play AJ Brown. I mean, I don't like it, but I understand it. Sorry, I'm just thinking here. You can leave this as is. I think a lot of people in the chat would probably tell you to play Sean Tucker over Aaron Jones. The only thing that I would say that you would need to change is if Josh Jacobs misses, you would have to play Emmanuel Wilson instead of Aaron Jones. I don't think that'd be up for debate. Okay, let's move this over to our next one. So Ray Charles says, matchup looks locked for a win, but you know how that goes. Should we go Tyler Shuck or Joe Flacco? You go Flacco for sure. There's no world in which I want to play Tyler Shuck. Okay. Now, let's move this over to our next one. And then for the flex, Bam Knight, Luther Burden, or Chimera Dike. Bam Knight easily. No Trey Benson. No Dermicado. Not a horrible matchup. I'd put him in. Now, Vibrant Spork. I would play Sean Tucker here at running back very easily over Tracy and Ramadre. Wide receiver, JMO. Tight ends, Hunter Henry and Theo Johnson are about the same. They're both good plays. And then for the flex, Michael Wilson, Wandale, Alec Pierce. I know it's crazy, but I may want to put Alec Pierce in here. Alec Pierce has been so damn good. Now, Darty Gross here at running back between Michael Carter, Chris Rodriguez, and Blake Corum. It's probably Chris Rodriguez. And then in the flex, I'd play Addison, though we hate it with McCarthy under center. But it looks like we had 200 likes on the stream. So let's go ahead and let's send out some free questions in the chat. If y'all want to get free questions, super simple to qualify how. All you got to do is drop a like on the stream and then drop your flogfantasy.com username in the live chat. Okay. This is Brees, T. Higgins, Romadunce for Trevion Henderson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is Trevion Henderson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not even remotely close. It doesn't even matter your team. It being an 8-team league makes it more so on the Amon-Ra St. Brown side. Okay, but let me send out some free questions here, and then we'll keep going through with the ones that we have. 1 second. This is DJ Grey Goose. DJ Grey Goose. Just found you, my friend. Just sent you over a free start set question. Let's send this to Shaquille Oatmeal. Just found you. Just sent you over a free start set question. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Okay. Now, L. Dickinson is trading Henderson, McMillan, and Stephon Diggs for Puka Nacua. I can't see the team. I can't see the league settings. I will say that as long as you have solid options that you can still put in at your flex after you make this move, we're okay with it. If this was a deep league where you didn't have any depth, then obviously I don't want to do it. But I do see Puka Nacua still in a different tier than any one of these other players. Okay, now Lost Shup here for the flex. We're looking at Dobbs, Aaron Jones, Charbonnet, Kyle Pitts. I'd go Aaron Jones. 2 blueberries for the flex. It's Ramadre, Jordan Mason, Rashad White, Kayshon Boutte, Darius Slayton, Brandon Ayuk. I think the floor plays Rashad White and the ceiling play is Darius Slayton. So those would be the 2. Z Leon says, got that hat in the mail, brother. Big shout out. Much love, and dang it, let me buy a question. I appreciate you, my guy. I'm super happy to hear that you were able to get that hat. And yeah, if anybody's watching this that filled out the free hat giveaway form, has not got their hat yet, they're a bunch in the mail as we speak. And more are getting sent out every single day. But that pile is winding down. Hopefully most people in this chat at this point have gotten free hats sent to them. And hopefully I'm done sending the free hats soon, because I'm not going to lie to you, it's just a constant weight holding me down knowing that we got to do that. Okay. Now, Hinanim is trading away Judkins, Romadunze for Genty, Wilson, and Alec Pierce. 14-team start 8 format. Rome to Pierce downgrade. Judkins to Genty upgrading and get Garrett Wilson for free. I am okay doing this deal because I don't see a big difference between Romadunze and Alec Pierce, as crazy as that sounds. But at this point, they project very similarly. Now, I think that as long as we are treating Garrett Wilson as if he's just the little cherry on top of the deal, you're not doing this deal for Garrett Wilson. But he's the little cherry on top that maybe, just maybe, he does manage to come back. And if that does happen, then obviously you're excited. Okay. Now, Isaiah FC with our next question. So should we pick up Fannin or Theo, and who do we drop? Okay, well, running back, you're going to start Genty and Trevion Henderson. Wide receiver, you're going to start the combination of Tetero, McMillan, Romadunze. And the tight end, you have Kate Otten. I would drop Chris Rodriguez for Theo Johnson or Harold Fannin, your call. And then in the flexes, you're playing Judkins and A.J. Brown. Maybe Worthy should be the drop, but I'm too stubborn at this point to say that I would want to drop Worthy instead of Chris Rodriguez. Maybe it is me being stubborn, but I drafted this freaking dude in so many underdog best ball drafts. Let me believe that he's going to do something here. Okay. Now, Sick Louch, wide receiver. You have no Ladd. You have no Chase. You have no Sutton. You have no Pat Bryant. You have Chris Godwin. You have no Keenan. It's going to be Chris Godwin and Parker Washington. Am I excited to put Parker Washington in? No, but it's okay now that you have no Brian Thomas. It's not the best, but it's okay. Obviously, this team's in pain this week. Jeremy trading away Jalen Warren and Gadsden for Justin Jefferson. AJ Barner at tight end. Running back, you have Bijan, Trevion. Wide receiver, you're not great. Yeah, I'll do this. I know Justin Jefferson is dealing with some of the worst quarterback play in the league right now. It looks hideous. He did not draft him in round 1 for J.J. McCarthy to be this bad. But also we're comparing him to freaking Jalen Warren and a rookie tight end you picked up off the waiver wire this year. So if you can trade those two guys and get Justin freaking Jefferson, yes, we would. Now, Mark, with our next question. Here at wide receiver, you play Rice. And then in the flex, you play Kenneth Walker. Actually, no, I'm sorry. You play T. Higgins. Apologize. Yeah, obviously, even if you have to go up against Christian Gonzalez, have to jam in Higgins. Okay, now, Jay Gerg is trading away Gibbs, Tootin, Higgins, Tedero McMillan for Barkley, Monroe St. Brown, and Olave. Gibbs to Monroe St. Brown, lateral move up to you. Higgins to Barkley, upgrade. Tedero McMillan to Olave, lateral move. I think it's a fair trade. Don't get me wrong. I could very easily see this going either way. But for me, I would probably go with the Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Chris Olave side. Now, Nick says, 8-3, 1-game lead for a bye, but playing the team behind me. Set myself up for the playoffs with injured reserve guys, but we were screwed for this week. Knight plus Spears on the waiver wire. Let me go ahead and send you over another free start set, my guy. Here, quarterback, you have no Burrow this week. Got to play Darnold. Running back, no Benson, no HN, no Hampton, no RJ Harvey. So it's Tyler Algier or Emmanuel Wilson. I'll play Emmanuel Wilson regardless of if Jacobs plays over Tyler Algier. Just knowing that there's an outside chance that if Jacobs plays, he is somewhat limited here. Wide receiver, you're starting Puka, Egbuka, Tedero, McMillan in the flex. So put Tet in at wide receiver 2. You just start 2 of these guys. So essentially, we just need to figure out the running back 2 between Tyler Algier and the waiver wire options like Bam Knight and Tajee Spears. For me, it's Bam Knight. You have no Benson. You have no Mercado. Bam Knight's going to get the majority of the work in this backfield. So I would go ahead. I would... Oh, dear God. I guess you got to drop Tyler Algier. If this matchup's important for you, it's probably worth dropping Tyler Algier, picking up Bam Knight so you can play Bam Knight this week. But yeah, I mean, you have a great team for the playoffs. It just kind of sucks right now. Smokey says, thank you for that, Mason, and thank you for all your help. Thank you, my friend. Here, running back, we're jamming in Quinshawn Judkins as well as between JCM, Tyler Algier, and Spears. I probably go Algier and hope they just run the hell out of the ball. Puka Nacua, Devonta Smith, Alec Pierce, and I'd go Romeo Dobbs over Andre Yoshivash. If you wanted to go Yoshivash, though, in that last spot, I wouldn't fault you for it. Now, I'm really for KT. It's trading Lamar down tiering to Hurts, Nico up tiering to Jacobs. Running back, you have CMC, Hampton, Emmanuel Wilson, Aaron Jones. So you're fine at running back. Wide receiver, you have... I think you're worse at wide receiver than you are RB. I would honestly probably prefer the Lamar and Nico side. I mean, I would tell you the Josh Jacobs side if Jacobs was healthy, but actually, here's the thing. Since Nico's already played, I'm assuming this trade wouldn't process until after this week, which if that's the case, if this trade wouldn't process until after this week, then in that case, yes, you can go ahead and you can get Josh Jacobs. Okay. Now, Ivan Dom is trading away Judkins and Lamb for Achane and Quentin Johnston. Lamb to Achane upgrade, Judkins to Quentin Johnston downgrade. You don't really need either position. I think that this is very much going to be a fair deal, and it's going to be up to you. I would love to tell you, oh, Quentin Johnston's great. He's going to crush. But it does look like ever since Gadsden's broken out, Quentin Johnston's just not doing as much here. So it's tough to go all in on Quentin Johnston at this point. Now, I'm really for KT. It's trading Lamar down tiering to May, Hampton up tiering to Dowdle. I think it's a fair deal. It's up to you. If I was a playoff team, I'd probably rather have... Actually, no. Who am I kidding? This is the Dowdle side. Doesn't matter if you're a playoff team. Doesn't matter if you are a team that needs wins right now. Okay. Now, Shaquille Oatmeal. Here, we are looking at a flex between Jefferson and Devonta Smith. If I was going to bench a wide receiver between Jefferson, Devonta Smith, and Rome Odunze, I may actually bench Rome Odunze, to be honest with you. Like, looking at this, Rome, 13.5 fantasy points per game, but look at what he's done since the bye. 5.2, 5.1, 18.4, 0, 20.6, 6.1. Devonta Smith up at about 13.5 as well, but he has more momentum than Rome at least. And Devonta Smith has a great matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. So I would actually probably bench Rome if I were you. Okay. Now our next question's from Beto. Oh, Beto, good to know that you're here. I believe you're from Canada, and I believe I just shipped out your hat. I haven't shipped it out yet. Post office was closed. I just boxed up a couple hats for you, and they should be shipped out a Monday morning when the box, I'm not the box office, the post office opens. So should have a couple hats on your way. I'm going to be honest. I am hoping that they get there if they're going to Canada. I'm hoping I did it all correctly. We will see. Okay, but hey, Mason, should have played Higgins. Brian Thomas Jr. out. FY, Dortch, Leggett, Cup, Tillman available on the waiver wire. If I had to choose one of these guys, I would go with Cup. But yeah, I'm sorry. I thought Brian Thomas Jr. was going to play. He had practiced 2 weeks. He had gotten back-to-back. I mean, he had practiced starting on Wednesday this week. I would play Xavier Worthy. I'm sorry. I know Jaden Higgins obviously would have been a much better play. And then over here in the flex, no, we can't look at those waiver wire options. Yeah, obviously Jaden Higgins should have been the play. I would play Tyler Algier over Devin Singletary. But you're just guessing who ends up scoring the touchdown. Really. And let me send you over another free start set question, my friend. Okay, perfect. We just got that sent out. Let's refresh. Bear Mauling says, fun year. Appreciate help. 9-2. 1 win in the next 3 locks up a bye. Team is busted up right now. Appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, we got no Hampton, no Bucky. You're starting Brees and Rashad White here pretty easily. I'd start White over Spears and Singletary, no hesitation. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, no London, no Debo. You go Christian Watson, Luther Burden, and then Shaheed or Singletary. I'm honestly going to go Shaheed. The Giants are 14-point dogs. I know Singletary got involved at the goal line this past week, but still. Super tough spot for me to tell you Singletary. Okay. And Teresa, I have not boxed yours up yet. Hopefully we get to that ASAP though. But it's the custom orders I'm put on a little bit of a back burner just because we can, like, I just like going into like robot mode and shipping out like, hey, we're going to do a batch order of this. Like today, the batch orders I did were the the people I wanted to get 2 hats to that lived in Canada. Those were the hats that we did today. Tomorrow, we'll probably do the last batch of whites and the last batch of tan and black league logos. And then I'll have to see and look at what we have. But Zelon says, remember that feeling writing wedding thank yous for your wedding? Will feel the same. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. In the past, every time I've given, I think we've done like free merch every single year for God knows how long. But every single time we've done free merch in the past, it's been like, oh, I ordered 300 hats. And with those 300 hats, we did free merch. So in the past, I always took the time to write thank you letters with them. And I planned on doing that this year as well. And a lot of them I wrote those thank you letters for. And then I realized 2,500 hats is a different beast than 300. And we are running out of time this season. I got to get all these hats out. So a lot of the hat packages that I sent out, I did not write those thank you letters to, but a lot of y'all did get them. Just depending. I don't know. No, you cannot buy hats on the site. And if you didn't fill out the free giveaway Google form, I'm very sorry. It's too late for you to get a hat, to be honest. Phil says, how does everyone feel about playing the quarterback that your opponent's wide receiver won? Do you block points or just avoid? I don't think about it at all unless it's a Monday night decision. So, I mean, it's a very common thing that people talk about, think about. It's like, oh, okay. I'm deciding between Caleb Williams and Daniel Jones. My opponent has Rome Odunze. Does that make me more likely to play Daniel Jones? Does that make me more likely to play Caleb Williams? If you're having to make that decision with limited information of how your matchup's going, like on Sunday, you completely ignore your league mates lineup. It's, oh, okay, who do you think is going to be better between Caleb, Daniel Jones, regardless of if your league mate has Rome Odunze? The only scenario in which that would matter is if it's, say, the Monday night game, you have a quarterback left, they have a wide receiver left, and you're up by 10. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm up by 10. Say it's a Bears-Colts game. They have Rome Odunze, and you're deciding between Caleb Williams and Daniel Jones. Then at that point, you very much want to know, oh, okay, they have Rome. I just need to block them. Let me play Caleb. Or, hey, if you're down by 10 and they have Rome Odunze, it's probably better for you to play Daniel Jones. But that would only ever play into it if it's like a Monday night game, a Sunday night game. You know exactly what you need, and you're in that very specific situation, which would maybe happen once a season. It hasn't happened to me so far this year. But if you're just going into Sunday, you just play who you think is best. But I am going to go ahead and let me pivot this over. It looks like we got another start sit question here. JN says this is a double flex, but the site won't show it. By the way, matchup is for first place. Flex Smith, Tuck, Mooney, Kenneth Walker, or Gainwell. It's going to be between Devonta Smith or Walker for me. I personally would probably go ahead and play Devonta Smith over Kenneth Walker, knowing that Devonta Smith has a really good matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, and he's been a more consistent option than Kenneth Walker so far this season. And then also, if you ever ask something here with the site, I think you can manually add that second flex spot, by the way. But I know we have a couple team reviews that we got to get through. Those will be the first things that we do tomorrow morning. What I'm also going to do here is I will turn it on where if y'all wanted to be able to buy questions on the site, y'all can. I'm not going to answer them right now. We're going to end this live stream right now, but we will get to those in the morning, of course. Okay. Let me make it where y'all can buy questions if you want. Okay. We just made it where you can buy questions if you want. But I think that's all I got for y'all, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you. I'll see you in the morning. Of course, I'll keep you updated with all the injury stuff. If you're busy and I'm not able to see you in the morning, no problems. Much love. I hope you win your matchup. But yeah, thank you for everything. Hope you all have some fun Thanksgiving plans this upcoming week as well. And I will see you in about 12